Okay, building another hub. This was a hub that I built before, years ago, and building another one. Going to build a few of them. So this is the beginning. There's my hardware stuff set up. I still have to do the wire inside and whatnot, but starting with this process here, building an Octagon hub for vertical and 45-degree dipoles, positive and negative. You can see I marked them red and black. Okay, next stage in the process, start drilling my pilot holes in these things. Already marked them. Every one of these is marked in the center. Need these pilot holes in here. To get first stage of this done. Actually going to need one more pilot hole because I need the one for the stand too. There. And I'm not even going to mark it. I think I know where the center is. This one right here. And now we are up to knocking out the holes. Also on the inside I mark what these things I'm drilling out. So I know this one's for the counterpoise, this one's for the bulkhead. These ones are for the 3/8 by 24. These are for the 3/8 by 24 bolt. Like that. And I'll show you how well they fit. See, they screw right in there quite nicely. And that is what I'll do. I'll knock that one out, and this one out here. And those should be ready for the bolts to be put in. That's simple. Like I said, you just mark on the inside so you know you don't get confused which one is which. Okay, this is what it starts to look like mocked up after drilling it through with the bigger drill bit and dicing it down. I haven't got the bulkhead in there, starting to mock it up. Still have to put the counterpoise in, but I get these things set on here. These get barrel connectors, if you're wondering. They're 3/8 by 24 by 1 1/8 is the length of these. I put a bigger washer on the base of this for stability, so wind pressure, and I could make it so that the positive is hooked to this and vice versa, all hooked into this one, but I like to do it with a bulkhead, and then you could just screw the coax to it rather than do it where it screws into the magnet mount, even though I do use my magnet mount to hold this on top of the vehicle. And then I spread the counterpoise out. I found that I had to do the counterpoise no matter what. Okay, putting the bulkhead in. Sorry about that. Take your time with this part of it so you don't blow this thing out too far. Tiny bit more. Like so. Should be pretty straightforward. That fits perfectly. Cut out the slag. Like so. Same with the inside. Cut out the excess slag. Like so. And that's how the bulkhead will fit right in there. Now I'll mark it. Mark it with a Sharpie. Then I get it, make sure it's straight on. Pick which one I want to knock the hole out with. Go with this one right here. And the reason why I do this to start with, well, you'll see here in a second, it's like that, like this, and I like to drop, come on, move a little faster with this, if I can. My fingers don't work real good, but trying to make it work right there. Always make sure that the solder end is facing up on your bulkhead. Makes it a little easier to deal with. And then you just poke this right through here. If I drilled it the right size, come on. Now I'm going to do this with a... Okay, I get the bolt in there, and that will get dremeled off to make it square so that it sits flush. And then you get this to sit square in there like so. I did have to drill it out a tiny bit. Normally I use a little bit smaller bolts, but this time, and see, this is going to actually have to drill that out a tiny bit too. There. And run it right through. Careful your fingers. There we go. There, and there. This one gets a larger one on the top. I use two different size nuts on this too, not round, but lengthwise, so I can hook grounds to it. And this one just is a bulkhead holder. And as you can see, that's how I get it to start staying in place and start punching these through. I'm going to drill it out a tiny bit more than I normally have. Okay, starting to get it mocked up there. As you can see, I use a couple longer, and these are a little bigger than normally what I use, but that's what I think I said on the last clip. But it is just what it is. I have more of these, and I figured I'd use them up. They're stainless steel, all that stuff. Let's see. Also, you can see, got the little end pieces. Those will not get grounds to it. These ones are the ones that get the grounds to them for the bulkhead. That's why I put the longer ones in there, so I have the extra space to put the clips and stuff on them. So that is the beginning of mocking it up for that part. On to the next stage. I will start the counterpoise too. Get that start going together. Had to go with some a longer bolt for the counterpoise, just because I like to put a couple of washers in between there to put the little piece on the counterpoise. Also, getting ready to mark this piece out, to take this out with the Dremel. This little section here has to be knocked down with the Dremel so it's flat, so when I screw down the nut on there with the washer on it, it holds it real tight and straight and not cattywampus. Let's see what else. So that's where I'm up to. Get the Dremel out, knock that down, have it all mocked up, and start measuring my wires and crimping the ends on that and getting this thing built. Shouldn't be much more longer, and it will be ready to put together. Okay, fun part of this. Knock this down. This is okay. Just scrape this out so that it's flat. This isn't the only part that gets scraped out either. It also gets, make sure that sits pretty flat. Looks pretty good right now. Maybe a tiny bit more up here. Now, this isn't the only part that gets scraped out. You also have to, there we go, you also have to, got cut off on that part, you also have to grind this out, like so. It has to be notched out to fit over these pieces Otherwise, it just flat out does not fit down in there smooth. So I notch it all out once I get everything mocked up and everything connected up for the most part. Then I start notching this out to where it fits right down on there smooth and all together. Okay, now comes the fun part. Start building the wiring. Belden 16 gauge enamel coated wire to run between all the connections in there, all the hardware here, get it out, get it ready. I also, not only do I do a clipping on here, but I also solder all connections. So I crimp them and solder the connections. These extra screws, they actually go through the lid. They fit through the lid like this one is there, like that, to hold the lid down tight. And that's where I'm up to. Going to start putting together the wiring part of this, getting it built and tested. If you have followed along this close, I shouldn't have to tell you this, but just in case, with enamel coated wire, you have to scrape back the coating. Otherwise, you'll never get a connection. Scrape it back enough to get your connection there. You can see, hopefully it focused in. Do both sides. This one is going to be the positive for the vertical. And there's this, what I measured it for when I cut it off there. Measured it to fit the positive side of this, right up to the positive side of that, like so. Pretty straightforward with a connection on there. Okay, let's get this part of this started so you all can see what I was talking about. I make it, after crimping it, I make a very good connection with this, solder this right together, and it should start flowing quite well right down in there, like that. That is a real nice solder connection. And you go like this, take that off, take this, slide it right up there and right over it. Oh, it's nice and hot, just like that. There is a good soldered connection for the one end. Okay, been a minute since I uploaded this. Now I'm getting ready to start cinching the bulkhead down. Got the positives hooked up right now. Get these to start tightening up here. Slowly start tightening up all the stuff on it. Still haven't done the grounds. Got to do one to the counterpoise to here, one to the ground here. If you notice, I do the positive one, I mark it with Sharpie red, and then this one for the negative side for reference. This is the Stinger vertical, and I'll get the next one coming up showing the grounds counterpoise and start cinching everything down. Okay, there are all the connections. Bulkhead is cinched down tight all the way around, cinched up good. It's a little sideways. Didn't notice that before, but I ain't going to fix it right now. Next, tighten up these connectors here. Counterpoise there, cinch down pretty tight. Screw these down real tight to this. They'll stay in place. This one cinch down tight, and then start carving out the lid to fit on here the way it's supposed to go. Have to carve everything out, and I do that with, not with the Dremel. I do it with an actual grinder. I use a 4-inch cutoff and carve it right out to fit each one of these very nicely. Mark it, round it, cut them out, and it works just perfect. So it's right at the last stages now. Okay, this next part is the fun part. Got this all marked out, all the way around, all the cuts I have to make in the top to fit it down into its case. 4-inch cutoff, very thin wheel. I don't need a big monster thing making a big carve. I take my time with this. I'm very careful, and if you're going to do this, you should be also. I do not want to see anyone get hurt because they're trying to imitate what I'm doing. And the reason why I show the wiring on this, most people won't show you the wiring in it or how they're even built, is because real builders want to know, how do you do this? How do you make it work? Well, I've made a few of them, and I'll make it work. And I would like to see other people build them too. Okay, I already have ground out a couple of them. I'm going to show how to do this. You just got to be very careful when you're doing this. Don't really suggest this for a lot of people. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. I make a lot of yard art, so I do a lot of custom grinding. So I kind of know where I'm at with it. But the average person might not. So use a hand file. It's easier if you just use a hand file. Okay, like I said, be very careful if you plan on doing that, but I strongly suggest just do it with a hand file. I get it roughly ground all the way down because it knocks a lot of it out, and then I have to go back with a hand file and smooth this stuff out to get it to fit in tight. This will fit all the way in here very tight here in just a little bit. I did round that up a little bit, and I'm going to have to push that down some. But other than that, this thing will fit very tight, all notch in there, just like that. And then I put the screws in 3 spots and hold it down. So if you're going to grind it, take care. Don't hurt yourself. If you have any questions on you doing it, do it with a hand file. You'll save yourself a big headache. Doing this does take a minute. I marked all the outside edges. As you can see, it's a nice snug fit all the way. Trimmed it all up. Fits right in there. Just like that. A couple of screws down in there. Put the cap on. And this one will be done and ready for deployment. Ready for this. Ready for the fun part of it. Here is the last part of this build. Of course, I date it, sign it, make it work. Everything snaps right together. Just like so. Drilled these all out. They screw right down in here. Just like so. A laser if I'm using a power. You just need to be snugged up, not wrenched down. Don't require any more than that. And this is what the hub looks like when it is all said and done. I still have one more to do, but still have one more screw to do, but counterpoise, bulkhead for the coax, mount for... Actually, this will be the last video, so the person will need to pick up barrel head connectors. This mounts right to any mag mount. 3/8 by 24 screws right into a mag mount. Counterpoise on here. These are for the 2 dipole ends. This is for the vertical telescoping. You can use 17-foot telescoping golf ball retrieving whips, or I like to use a 20-foot telescoping golf ball retrieving whip off top of that, and this thing will tune through 80 through 6 meters for certain, ready for deployment. A friend of mine's going to end up with this one. He wants it, and he said he would do the pre-order, so there it is.